What's up and welcome back to Cryptographics. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys what my yield has looked like since staking Icosa on day one in both Icosa and in Hedron. Let's get right into it. So I have this chart that's been keeping track of all of my profits, daily yield, the actual amount of Icosa, the dollar value, and the percentage in relation to the principal that I have staked as well. So starting out, it was crazy. On day one, we had 0.73% yield in a single day. Now, as you can see over time, this has gone down all the way to 0.37%. So it's cut basically in half since the beginning in 30 days. Now, I've still ended up with 13.35% of what my principal is over the course of a single month. Now, that's in Icosa tokens as well, not in dollar value. That's in Icosa tokens. Now, what's interesting to note here is if you look at, let's say you have, I did the math on this, and I'm not going to bring it up just because the math I did is specific to my amount of hex, but essentially the payout for my hex, if I had kept my hex and not given it up for Icosa, basically on the first number of days, I was getting almost 10 times the amount of yield that holding hex at that time was giving me. Now I'm up to down to about 5 or 6x over what hex would have paid me per day. But obviously you can see this is going down drastically. And what's interesting too is the Hedron yield. This is a little bit more difficult to quantify in comparison to the Icosa token. So this is actually in just dollar percentage. So in percentage of dollars, and this has actually fluctuated a lot because the Hedron price went up to 5 zeros and if you hear that, there's some thunder in the background. So hopefully the soundtrack's not too loud, but 11.17% is the dollar value that I've earned in Hedron over the last month. And as it went up to 5 zeros into 6 before it's come down to where it is now, this was almost 20%. And so over almost 25% yield as of right now on day 30 is what I've earned in Icosa and even Hedron tokens as well, which is a crazy return. Now, one thing I want to stress, because I'm trying to bring this video to you so that you understand what you're getting into and how quickly the Icosa pool specifically, because I didn't keep track of my Hedron pool. I don't have too much Hedron, and so I'm not getting a lot of Icosa out of it. So I'm really, because I went as heavy as I could into the Icosa side and focus there. So I've been just taking in the data and seeing how that pool has been going. And what's really important for you and I to both see here is that basically the dilution of these pools is quick. Like, look what's happened. We've gone from 0.73% to 0.37. That's almost a 50% reduction in yield, meaning I've been diluted. Basically, it probably means about double the amount of stake points from where I started or basically, I think it was like 22 or 24 billion stake points were there at the start of Icosa. And if we go there now, the amount of stake points that are in the pool now, I think they're 57.13 B points or billion points. And it was about 22 or 25 billion points when I started this, or when it all started. So basically what I am seeing in the Icosa side is that if you are not able to put in a consistent amount of Icosa, you are going to be getting less and less and less and less yield over time. Now, what's interesting is Godwhale, so the same entity that staked basically $200 million in hex out for 15 years, also staked, I believe it's over $1 trillion Hedron, but has yet to mint and stake Icosa. So the thing is, there's some big players that could still get in these pools. So what I'm not trying to imply here, though, real quick, is that the Icosa staking pool is a bad position to be in. You're going to get diluted. It's not worth it. I mean, for Icosa to not be worth it, really, you have to get basically the same payout, or less than what the payout of a T-share in hex would give you. And it's going to take a while. I'm not going to do the math to figure out on the spot here just how long it's going to take, but it's going to take a while for that yield to come down. And the big thing we got to remember here is too, this is going to spike. Like these yield percentages are going to be small, like roughly 9% approximately of what your principal is, will be somewhere around there, because it looks like the base amount of Hedron that's going to be burnt is about somewhere between 180 billion and 200 billion at this point. I could be wrong as far as out by a tiny bit here, but when I did check it last, it was about 174 billion, so 180 billion. And that meant that roughly we'd be seeing around like 8, 9, 10% return based on your principal. So if your principal was $1,000, you'd earn $100 in that day alone. That's the minimum that we'll see on that too. So what's interesting is these percentages here may look bad. Well, not bad. They may look really good, but they're declining. But we got to remember that on November 13th, all this is going to spike again. And we don't know what's going to happen in regards to further waves. Like what happens if those those HSIs that are purchased with Hedron, which burns Hedron and send Icosa to the Icosa pool, are then recycled or advanced against, and then especially if they have a multiplier on them, if they're advanced against and minted Icosa with and sent back to auction. Could we see waves in the future? Possibly. I mean, there's no guarantee of this. It's just completely speculative. And the important thing that I want to relay here is Icosa to me so far, seems like it is a great spot to be if you're in it. I'm not telling you to sell your hex for it. I'm not telling you to get into it. I'm showing you just what I've got here. But what makes the most sense to me is we know that there's a year of Icosa yield because the SA, the source address in Hedron, basically burned multiple trillion tokens, which allowed about 41,000 Icosa to be sent to each one of the pools. So Icosa pool, Hedron pool, and the WhatsApp pool per day. And so we know that over the course of the year, there's going to be a guaranteed amount of yield. That's going to be, I guess at this rate, declining by 50% roughly every 30 days. So that's pretty drastic. But if you're adding to this pool fairly regularly, I mean, there's a drawback here because you're going to be resetting your stake lengths every single time you do that. But if you're adding to this just to get through this first year, possibly, I don't know, this is just speculation here, but to me at least it makes sense to continue to add through the first year just to continue to up or maintain a yield roughly, because as the bigger players come in, it's going to be getting more difficult to maintain that as it's the dilution percentages per amount of you're getting diluted is increasing if the bigger players do start to jump on board. So it makes sense to really go into this if you are going to, at least from my standpoint, to continue to DCA in over time. Now, do I think it's going to be great long term? I think it could be. I don't really know what's going to happen after a year though. Kind of going to have to wait and see what happens with these auctions, see what happens with the peg, and kind of just go from there. So all in all though, I mean, just to sum up this whole video, I am super stoked with my purchase and I am very happy with my decision to go into this. I took basically the math that I've done. If I took all of the amount of dollars that I now have staked and everything within all this system, based on the yield, I would have ended up with about almost 4 times what my original investment had I kept it over in Hex have been. But luckily, I did keep it in Hex. I just sent it off into the future at 5555. So I'd love to know if you participate in the Icosa pool, what your thoughts are so far, if you're stoked on it, if you've been using the Hedron pool, if you've been using the WhatsApp pool. I'd love to know how your experience of Icosa staking on the platform has been in any of the 3 pools. And if you did like this video and you did like me sharing this information with you, please smash that like button. And I would love for you to subscribe for future videos like this, as I will be posting more updates as this yield continues on in the future into the next month and so on and so on. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a few ways you can do that. You can join the YouTube memberships somewhere below the video here. And you can also go to cryptographics.com. You can purchase some merch. You can also donate in the link to this video, or in the description of this video, there's a link there. You can go there and do that. And if you'd like to learn specifically from me or one-on-one, you can go to cryptographics.com and book a one-on-one call there today. And finally, guys, there's always scammers in the comments. Please don't engage with them. They are not me if they don't have a highlighted cryptographics name bar. It's someone else. If you have questions for me, go to cryptographics.com, fire me an email there, and I'll answer it as soon as I can. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.